What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode Off the Deep End Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Eddie. Today, we're going to be sitting down with somebody who I served with in the United States Navy, the best Navy in the entire world. Obviously, it's not a secret. Anyway, as much as you know, I love America. One thing I do love as well are the men and women who serve this beautiful country that we have here. Without them, we'd be just completely destroyed by our opposition throughout the world. I'm so thankful to be joined today by somebody extraordinarily special to me. Not just is she a great sailor or a great human being, she's also a great person who wants to look out for others. And so I think it's amazing that she's going into the nursing field and to look out for people. And you know what? Hopefully one day be a phenomenal doctor as well. So without further ado, this is the conversation with me and Nicole Calkins. Before we continue, I want to just let you know that here at Off the Deep End Podcast, we do talk about some things that can be extremely triggering for some of the listeners, whether it's domestic violence, suicide prevention, mental health resources, vet resources, veteran stories, active shooters, fitness, and even recovering from addictive substances. There's only one place I go to spread my message of positivity about not just going through things, but growing through them as well. For this, I use Anchor.fm. It allows my listeners to listen on over 7 platforms with a click of a button. Make sure you download Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started sharing your story. All right, we are live. Thanks everybody for tuning in. As always, I'm joined by somebody who is extremely special to me. I remember the first time I saw her, she reminded me of exactly what my little sister reminds me of. A bright attitude, a strong intellectual with a good heart, and just caring about everybody around her. So I'm super, super thankful for having you on today.
Oh, hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me on today. Yeah, I remember when I
Absolutely.
first met you, you were the only one that was really happy. Even happy to say hi at that. And you were just like, hi, welcome.
Yes, yeah. I mean, at that point, we were pretty deep into our. I think we were pretty well in with our group, and so a lot of people didn't
Mm-hmm.
like branching outside. They weren't very social, branching
Mm-hmm.
outside the group. But I am the polar opposite of that. I like to talk to everybody. I think that everybody has a special place that they can and a special role that they can play in
Mm-hmm.
any military operation or just life at all. So
Exactly.
definitely. Well, why don't we
Mm-hmm.
start from the beginning?
Okay.
With your childhood. What was it like growing up for you? Were both parents in the picture? I know
Yeah.
I saw pictures of your family and I got all emotional because my wife's family is actually the family that showed up for me when I deployed. My family didn't show up at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. I grew up with both parents in a Mexican household. Both my parents were, of course, Mexican, so full on Mexican. In a really small town. Like we had about like probably 100 people in our high school, like junior high plus high school, and there was a lot of white people. So it was just kind of like different for me to grow up because I was I was a darker skin tone. So like when I joined the Navy, it was kind of like, whoa, there's people that look like me type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think I grew up pretty well. Um, I have an older sister, a younger sister, and that's pretty much it. Like nothing really crazy happened when I grew up. So,
Okay. All
but
right. So what?
they're really supportive.
Okay. Yeah, I could tell. I could tell they made T-shirts. I was like, man, if I knew
Oh
how
my
to, if I
gosh.
had made T-shirts back then.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. They're at first, like when I told them I wanted to join the Navy, like my mom was kind of like, that's kind of like a boy thing. And then my dad
Hmm.
was just like, do it, do what you want to do, go for it. And when I did, they were both really like supportive and there for me. So
Awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I know that there's a weird stigma surrounding women in the military. I think that everybody can do something special, and it doesn't have
mm-hmm.
to be a certain job or it doesn't have to be just this job. And I feel the same way about it for a lot of things, that everybody has something
Mm-hmm.
to bring to the table. And like
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, I know a lot better lady shooters than I know guy shooters. So,
Yeah.
and as far same with crane operators and same with people who can lower boats into the water, they usually do a better job than the guys.
Yes. Yes.
So what made you want to join the Navy? Was it just trying to get out of the area or what?
Yeah, at first it was kind of like I wanted to get out of like the small town, and I was in a relationship at that time when I first joined in Nevada. So I was going to college for like criminal justice, but I really wanted to do nursing. And so I was just like, okay, I can do like military, like officer nursing. because it would get all paid for. So I like went to the recruiting station and told my recruiter, hey, I want to be like in the healthcare area, what kind of jobs you have available. And he was just kind of like, oh, HM. So I did the whole, well, at first I was going to go the officer route. And then like it was just so hard like to get in. I don't know why it was kind of hard. It was just like paperwork after paperwork. And he was just like, hey, if you really want to join right now, he's like, there's this rate called HM. I already reserved it for you. So you're going to go to MEPS next week and you're going to tell them you're going to be an HM. So I go to stupid MEPS and they laugh in my face. They're like, you can't reserve a rate. And I was just like, that's what my recruiter said. And then they were like, no, you can't reserve a rate. So I like called my recruiter that day and I was like, I'm not joining. I'm not going to do this. And then he's like, okay, if you really want to join the Navy right now, you would just pick any rate. And I was like, no, I'm not going to pick a rate. I'm not like something I don't know. And then he said, well, you can be, oh my God, I don't remember what it's called. Like you can be a pack seaman.
Yes, they still disguise
And
it.
then
Pack seaman. You have no job.
And I was just like, what is that? And then he's like, look, you could have tried all different kind of jobs for a year and you'll still be able to choose HM. And he's like, and you'll be in the military, so you might see like HM and not even want to do that. And I was just like, oh, it's a year. He's like, yeah, 1 year just doing, you work with, he didn't tell me who I worked with. He says, you just get to go on the ship. So, and try out all these jobs. So I was like, okay, cool, sign me up. So little do I know what pack seaman was being in deck.
Oh God, I know that's same exact story is the same for everybody. A lot of people get hoodwinked into going to it instead of being told the straight up truth.
Yes, I couldn't believe him. Like I messaged him, I think when I was in deck, and I was like, dude, like if you just wanted me to join, like you could have like just explained the other rates for me because this was not it.
This was not it. Yeah, I know that's right. Oh my God. Oh, good. And the frustration that can come with being told a 4-year lie. It's not just like they're lying to you. Hey,
Exactly.
tomorrow you could just change your mind, just show it. No, 4 years. You signed a contract. You signed away your life.
Yeah,
you signed away your rights, your privacy, all of it.
Everything. And then honestly, like at that like deck was so hard to get out of. I don't know if it was just like the leadership we had, because after you left, like it was insane. It was really
God. I've actually had a lot of people call me during that time after I left. I had a lot of different phone calls. I'm not going to say from who, but pretty much every single person who I was really close to, they called me one after another asking like, what do I do in this situation? How do I deal with this?
Yeah.
Before I left, I was actually that I got into a pretty big frustrating situation with a lot of the people that were there in that command, because how toxic it was, because of the sexual harassment of our female sailors and so many other things. And I got into it pretty heavy with people.
Oh my goodness.
Like I launched the EO investigation. I went to the EO. I went to a bunch of different people and I said, listen, like there's 2 ways it's gonna go. We have to investigate it, or like there's gonna be a really nasty fight that's about to break out like every day.
Yeah.
We see these people and we all see these people, because it wasn't just me that was pissed off at the POs, and we can't have our young ladies being harassed 24/7. It's unacceptable.
Yeah, and I appreciate you standing up for us, because I don't know, I feel like the older Navy, it's just kind of like sweep it under the rug. Didn't happen. I don't know if you ever heard like when me and another sailor got choked on the Vincent.
No, I didn't hear about that at all.
Yeah, it was like probably like my first month in the Navy. They sent us to the Vincent to get our qualifications, and like our first 2 weeks of being in there, he's a BM3 and he choked us. And at first, like I didn't think anything of it, because I was just like, what just happened? And then the next time it happened, he was like, you're gonna listen to me, you're gonna do what I tell you to do, and he choked me again.
Oh, you try to use violence to assert dominance and with his subordinates. And that's horrible leadership 101.
Horrible. So I like took his hand off and I was just like so confused. And then me and this one sailor, I'll tell you her name later, we were just kind of like talking, and then she's like, hey, has he ever like choked you? And I was just like, what? And we went and reported it, and we went to mass and everything, and we were the ones that got yelled at. We were the ones, like, they're telling us we had no morals, that if it did happen, why don't we report it the first time it happened? and nothing like came about it. Like it's not even in our records because I was trying to file like for PTSD for my disability, and they're like, it's not in your records anywhere. And I was like, I literally went to mass for this.
That is absolutely atrocity. There's so many,
Yeah.
because things, if things aren't dealt with properly, they escalate. If you all it takes for for evil to triumph in life is for good men and women to do nothing, and that's it shows every time that people are allowed to run rampant with their atrocious actions and stuff like that. It just progresses and spreads, and it gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
Obviously,
And then
you weren't the first person to happen to.
yeah. And then I guess it happened again to another sailor, like once we left, like a couple months, because then he actually ended up getting like get kicked off the ship because they're like someone like had messaged me like, hey, like sorry that we didn't believe you, like he did it again type of thing. And I was just like, why would anyone lie about that?
Like their amount of it's just stupid to me, because the amount of people, especially ladies, 1 in 3 ladies is a victim of domestic violence at some form of the part of their life. If the fact that we all, like, it's not a secret, it's on TV, they advertise it, they talk about it in the news, it happens rampantly throughout the military as well. It's not a secret. Why wouldn't you believe somebody, the few that do report, the few that do actually report? Because
exactly. And that's why
so many that don't, because a lot of people they won't believe you.
That's exactly what I said on like my mass. I like, because after the DRB, because the Chiefs were just going in on me, and then we saw the XO, and after that I was just like, this is why people don't report stuff, because you guys don't believe us. Like there's been and then they were just kind of like, well, we're sorry this happened to you. And then there was one senior chief from our ship that was really like on our side, and like when we got back to the ship he like apologized to us and stuff like that. But other than that, like like no one knew, like they just swept it under the rug.
And that can cause so many issues, because you're not just being told, being assaulted the first time, you're also being told that you don't have a voice.
And that's like my first month in the Navy. That's why I was just like, whoa, this is how it's gonna go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that's horrible and frustrating to hear. I ain't for it. Well, what all, obviously, hopefully, sorry, I'm not gonna say obviously, hopefully there was some improvement when you left the Vincent and you came to the Roosevelt. What was the major difference that you noticed, other than the person not choking you anymore?
Say again. Sorry, it kind of cut off.
Oh, sorry about that. What were what was the most positive change that you saw going from your first experience on that horrible ship to the Roosevelt, one of the better ships in the Navy?
Honestly, I think it was more, like, no offense to the deck or anything, because it was just bad. But like once I left deck and became an LS, like I met a really great like I got a really good leadership at the time, and I don't know, her name's Julie Lechnar, and she like, it was just kind of like a good view of the Navy, because she was just there to support me, not just me but all our sailors, and like we had a voice with her, and any like thing we had to complain about, she was just like, okay, we're gonna fix it. And I don't know, it was just really good seeing like that kind of leadership, because like in the Navy you see like so many like chiefs and some LPOs be like, go do this, but they're never the ones to do it with you. But she was just always there with us, like working until like 6 p.m. Yeah, that was really positive for me.
And that's good too. I mean,
like I almost stayed in because of her.
That's good. I mean, it's important to have people who support you and who can show you that it's not always you're not always gonna have bad leadership in life, because we notice that from people around us. Like obviously there are people with bad parents, and they feel disgruntled about other people's parents, and then they see a good someone else's parents who do a good job, and they have that little brush of hope lit in them again. Or I can honestly say Lieutenant Ojo, Lieutenant Commander Carruthers, that command staff, it was a joke. It was a shit show. It was horrible. And I know that some people listening to this are probably not going to like me to tell the truth, but you know what? The truth is the fucking truth. If you're insulting your sailors for speaking up for themselves against sexual harassment, if you're telling me to shut the fuck up when I'm telling you that this is wrong, and if you're arguing with me to the point where we're almost getting in fist fights because you're disrespecting my female sailors, I can't sit here and act like it's all cool. And nobody's perfect. I'm sure I made a ton of mistakes, in my time in the Navy. But sexual harassment has no place in the military. We need our people to be their best. We need people to be the best.
No place ever. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's like being in deck. Like I I'm so thankful for the people I was in with, because we became such a family, because like we were like getting beat up every day type of thing, like mentally abused. Like that was like every day we would muster and be like, okay, you're gonna get off at 12 if you guys do this and this. So there we go, doing this and this and this. And then we would muster up again at 12 and like, okay, you guys suck, you guys did it wrong, go do it again. So there we go, chip and paint, repainting, until like like one time we didn't get off until like 2100.
I remember
it was just
these
so
times. Oh my god.
I just could not believe, and I was just like, dude, I really joined like for this.
I know a lot like myself, I joined for a lot of different reasons than most people. I like military servitude is strong in my family. Grandpa on one side was special operations in the Vietnam War. Grandpa on the other side flew above him in Vietnam. My stepdad was in the Air Force, and he also activated multiple times to, whether it was Iraq or Afghanistan, to go do war and play with the real branches like the Army. And just joking, Air Force fucks, get out there, don't get mad at me. But military servitude was something I knew I was going to do in my life. But seeing poor leadership, I can understand why it can be horribly disheartening, especially to never, like, there's a big difference between being in a war zone and not. If you're not in a war zone, you don't need to play
oh my god,
egotistical douchebag. It's not a thing. There's a time to tell people to tighten the fuck up, and there's time there's a time to tell people, hey, I'm sorry your mother's dying, let's get you home.
Yeah. There was just a lot of favoritism too, and it was just kind of like, I don't know, sometimes like being a woman in the Navy too, it's kind of like the only way sometimes you can succeed, and it's so like sad to say, is like you gotta kiss ass or you gotta flirt. And I think that's like, I don't know, it was just kind of like I felt so disrespected at times, because at first I wasn't seen as a good worker, like with I mean, I'll say their name, you can block it off, like Chief Myers and stuff. Like you really had to like kiss ass to him to like be somebody. And I don't know, I just hate that.
And that's really frustrating, because he came on mid deployment and he was going through some tough times back home, and we tried to be there for him and stuff like that. And he ended up sharing a lot of information with me that he's gone through in life, and but it sucks, man, because he would say things that are off the wall to me, and then I'd freak out, and then he'd kind of retract his statement. And I really don't get down like that. If you and he's blocked me on all social medias after I didn't go to his retirement ceremony. But like one of the last things he said to me was insulting. Like,
I'm glad he retired.
Yeah,
I'm glad he's out.
Yeah, you sometimes you just got to go. Sometimes you just got to go.
Yeah.
The military is not for everybody. Leadership is not for everybody. And if you're hurting and you don't deal with that shit, you're just gonna hurt more people.
Yeah, and that's what it was. Like every day I felt like he was just taking it out on us. Or that once, I don't know if you were like in the forecastle when he like grabbed his hard hat and threw it across the forecastle, and he was like, I can't fucking do, and we're just kind of like, what? Like this old ass man is throwing a tantrum.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, some people, I don't even know how to describe it. Some people go through extremely difficult times and they don't deal with it appropriately whatsoever. I can say that I've had a lot of good memories with him and great conversation, but anybody who is around will honestly say, and it has to be, we have to tell the truth. He trashed people because he wasn't feeling good, and hurt people do hurt people. You know, Will Smith said that. He said that, and I believe it's really true. When you're hurting, you do hurt other people. And I wish he would heal, and I wish he could do some self-reflecting, because telling me that I'm doing a half-assed job when I've been awake for 48 hours straight, doing my job, and telling everyone around me that they're not doing their job isn't kosher. Like if you got a problem with what I do, tell me, but don't beat everybody down. It's not how you inspire true leadership. You gotta be encouraging to people.
And I really feel like we did our best, like all of us did our best to, I mean, get off of work early, because you know we weren't even going on deployment or anything, and I don't know, they always just had something negative to say, always. And I don't know, I feel like that's kind of like where all my like anxiety and depression just kind of like started, was just deck.
100%. I mean, it can.
Yeah.
I mean, this is we're obviously we're already kind of leaning into it. This is a big issue throughout, and it's rampant in the military. It's toxic leadership. Everyone says it. Everybody knows it. but for some reason they'll say that, oh no, everything's good in the Navy, it's all cool. And in other branches as well, this is the issue that we're facing. If you don't have leadership roles and people in the right spots that are supportive, you're going to have low morale, and monotony, and not feeling like you signed up for the right reasons. When we were all going through a lot of things. We had sailors, commit suicide. And this year alone, I've had 22 of my friends commit suicide last year. And,
I'm so sorry.
like when that happens, it should be a wake up call. When 4 sailors
It
in
really
one weekend
should.
commit suicide, you should see an issue. And the issue isn't lower your lower your standards. It's improve your fucking leadership. It just has to be said.
Exactly. Me and my husband were talking about that yesterday, because it's kind of like, I feel like he's, oh my, I wish you could have met him, because he's such a hard worker, and he does so good like in his job, and he's only been a diver for less than 2 years, and well, to me, he's the number one diver from what he tells me, what everyone tells me. And I don't know, they like push him, like they'll just like play like mind tricks with him and be like, okay, you're gonna get this qualification, and then he'll go do it, and then I'm like, oh, you gotta do it again because so and so didn't see it. And it's just I don't know, the leadership is just, I don't know, it's just disheartening sometimes.
Yes.
That seeing him go through that, and I know he really can't speak up for himself, because if you do, like the retaliation that's going to happen if you do say something, and is it like worth, I don't know, the fight sometimes for that.
Yeah, it can be definitely frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
That I was getting out of the military. They'd already burnt the military already burned their bridge with me when they sent me to the wrong ship for 97 days on the East Coast, when I'm trying to like find a house on the West Coast with my wife. So
my God.
they kind of so when I came back to the TR after deployment, like 3 weeks later, I was in Virginia on a different ship, and then they one of the members of the leadership was calling my detailer, trying to keep me there. So they kept me there for 97 days until I finally got a hold of somebody in the Pentagon and said, hey, I'm on the wrong fucking ship, man. Like, I know you remember me. Like, can you hook me up here? What we got going on? The next day, I was on a plane back to the Roosevelt, to the West Coast.
That's crazy.
And if we can talk about a bunch of different reasons why people get out of the military. That burned a bridge that can't be repaired with me and also with my wife.
Yeah.
And like, obviously I wish I could say it was a one person decision for me to get in and out of the military. It wasn't. Like I couldn't put her through that. Like I put her through deployment. We get through deployment. That's part of the job. It's your significant other, the person you love the most, leaving for months, and you not knowing where they are, losing comms with them,
my God.
family members dying, my wife dealing with all that shit when I was gone. That's part of the job, and it sucks to say it, but but that's what service and sacrifice is all about. Nobody should be in the wrong zone or having their orders jacked up on purpose. I wanted to be a great servant to the military, to my nation, and I'm never going to say fuck the Navy, but that lieutenant commander that kept me there, shame on him, man, because that ended my military career. That's why I got out. There was no way I was going to do that again.
And that's another thing too, because when I was still trying to decide if I was going to stay in or stay out, a lot of like the chiefs and stuff heard that I was going to get out, or maybe possibly get out. And I had this one chief come up to me. He's like, well, you're just going to be homeless. And I was just like, what? And he's like, yeah, you're going to be down in San Diego streets begging for money. He's like, I'll make sure to give you $5 or something. And he was being dead serious when he said this to me.
That's horrible. That's horrible, because if he got out like this, the second he gets out, and is not an active duty guy anymore, he's going to realize just how alone you really are. Like, that's how you realize how alone you really are. You're all alone when you're out there. God. There's a lot of veterans. I fucking feed homeless vets. Like I put a homeless vet in a house just last week with a organization, a vet organization I work with. That guy, for saying that, man, I wish they would have pulled his retirement and left him with nothing, because that's how it feels to a lot of these homeless vets on the street. A lot of them.
Even like getting out and having a support system, I felt so alone. Like, my first like 2 months, like my first month, I just felt like I was on leave, and then like I don't know, like I don't know if that happened to you, but everything just kind of like everything I went through, I got out of a bad relationship in that Navy too, so like I was able to like go through all my emotions, and it I was just done with life. Like even though I was married, I was ready to just I was suicidal, and it was hard to reach out for help.
I definitely have felt, I I talk about it. I talk about better now than I used to be able to talk about it. I used to say, I'm fine, I'm good. Everything's fine. And I apparently I had my wife. I was just me and her were just talking about the other day. I was telling her how I was walking around with resting bitch face for so long. And it was like
Yeah.
horrible for me to try to process
You
all
keep
my
cutting in
emotions
and
at
out. I don't know
once.
if it's my service.
All right, we're back after some technical difficulties, but just to kind of get back to where we're talking about mental health when you leave the military, it can be excruciatingly painful to come to the realization that you are struggling. Denial is a serious issue
Yeah.
for a lot of vets. As soon as you get out, you think you want to prove everybody wrong that says, "Oh, you're going to get out and be nothing." Like I got told that I was gonna be nothing, and for a time I felt
Yeah.
like it. I was wiping down tables for 70 hours a week just to get by. I had this great
Yeah.
job. I knew exactly who I was. I was the guy
Mhm.
who told officers and chiefs and whoever's bothering my people to piss off. I was the insubordinate
Yeah.
subordinate who did his job perfectly, but wasn't going to take shit from other people because I had a great crew working under me. And I wouldn't even say under me, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, cause I get down, yeah,
You were
I'll spend
you
all
were just
the
a voice.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's a
It's great.
pleasure to
Yeah.
do so. To work alongside your sailors, to be a
Mhm.
team
Yeah.
player, all these things are important. I knew exactly who I was. I was the person you could call, I was the person you could text, and I'd always show up for each one of my sailors. And even the ones that were shitbags, because there are some shitbags out there, but I would do it because
Yeah.
someone has to. If you walking through a place alone when you're not having any support, it can break you. Like I was in that time, like
Yeah.
losing my dad when I was deployed, and my wife had to deal with everything while I was stuck on a ship. That was kind of tough. And I had a great, beautiful
Mhm.
group of people that came and helped me out. I had Chief Brontes, BM2 Anderson. I was just surrounded by people who loved and cared for me, and that love and care got me through. There's a huge
Exactly.
lack of that, a huge lack of that
Mhm.
in a lot of different commands, a lot of different
Mhm.
groups of people that are the good old boys crew, and the junior sailors aren't feeling it. And we're losing junior sailors not just by leaving the military, but to suicide. And it's a big issue because people didn't, if they had it all figured out and worked out at home, they would have stayed home. They wouldn't have joined the Navy
Yeah.
if it was all fine back there.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just crazy that like sometimes like the Navy and that's what pisses me off about it. Like I'm a big like advocate for mental health because the Navy preaches like, oh, if you like you're going through this, like reach out to somebody. And like there was a time like towards the end, like my last year in the Navy, that I went to medical and I was like, hey, like I'm feeling like I have all these emotions and like going through me and like all these voices in my head. And they're just kind of like, oh yeah, that they're like, yeah, it's just in your head, like you're fine. And I was just kind of like, I'm not fine. And then they're like, well, you can't see the psych boss. He's really busy. You're just trying to get out of deployment. I mean, God, like, what if that was my last straw? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just crazy that they're always like, reach out for help, reach out for help. But then when you do, they're kind of like, you're fine. It's in your head. I was
And
like, yeah, it
that
is in my.
that's it. That's horrible. That's horrible.
Mhm.
That happened to another one of my guests that I had on recently. Um, I never thought it would happen to like this. Like to me, he's like knowing this guy. He was this big, rugby bodybuilding body of a powerhouse of
Mhm.
positivity and stuff like that. And he was so strong. And I had no idea that he was going through any of that because he kept a
Yeah,
straight face. Everything's all good. And you know, if you tell people who are going through a tough time that they're going through it alone, they're gonna feel it. They're gonna feel every weight of that, and it doesn't matter if somebody's busy. Sometimes you just need to shut up and help people. Nobody has the answers to
exactly.
this thing called life. We're all just stuck here, and that's something that the
Mhm.
MVP movie, I think they did a really good job with that. It's called Merging Veterans and
Mhm.
Players. I watched it with the Seahawks team down here and with the guy who
Mhm.
made the movie, who's a former Green Beret, Nate Boyer, and he did a really good job with it, talking about you know, dealing with suicide, dealing with suicidal ideations. Their reason to be here was fitness, and fitness has been a release for me. Might not be for everybody, but fitness is something that really, really helps
Yeah.
me. Do you
Yeah. I think for me, it's like helping people.
mhm.
Like, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm not you, my dog. My dog my dog's acting wild over here.
Oh, okay. No, I think for me, it's like helping people. Like, I think that's kind of a really big reason I want to be a nurse is because I want to help people who are, you know, either like suicidal or like close to death. I just want to help people because I've known how
Mhm.
it's felt to be so low and no one be there to help you. So hopefully being a nurse that will help me help people.
Absolutely. I think it will. What is something that you would say to somebody if they walk up to you and said, "Hey, um, I'm in the Navy right now. I'm going through a tough time. I'm having these thoughts. I don't know what to do. My command just told me that if I report it, I'm going to get kicked out, and I really can't get kicked out. I don't have a home to go back to. What would you say to somebody like that?
Well, I would first tell them if they want to come over so we can talk. And I
Mhm.
would just kind of give them a lot of options, like do a lot of research with them and give them options on how they can reach out for help. And that I would tell them you're not going to get kicked out. Like the Navy can't kick you out for reaching out for help.
Ever.
And I would, yeah, ever. And I would just reassure them that they're loved and they're supported and kind of just help them finding help. Because there's only so much that I would be able to do for them, but I would help them find the help that they need.
And I think that's super important. Obviously, you're going to have a different approach than people you've dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I had somebody come to talk to me after I was going through a tough time. Like it was like a 3-day hiatus,
Mm-hmm.
a 3-day mess up of like my dad dying in a hospital bed with
Yeah.
leukemia, and they were trying to figure out, and I had to tell the nurse to pull the plug, and then um my boss like my chief Brontes walked up and he would just like hug me, and of course I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
fall apart. And then he said, "Hey man,
Yeah.
just go lay in your rack and just think and just breathe and just cry whatever
Yeah.
you need for 3 days." So I think if I had to show up to work the next day, I wouldn't be in the right headspace. And we
No,
can't
yeah.
expect our sailors, our airmen, our Marines, our whatever the fuck they call the people in the Air Force,
Yeah.
to operate at a good standard or good capacity if we don't
If they're
take
not
care
right.
of them at that level. We have to take care of our people.
Yeah. And yeah, they really do. It's just crazy. I honestly probably would have never gotten help if it wasn't for my husband because I was just like, I've gone past it and like I'm more able to talk about it now, like going through therapy and stuff. But like I was just about to jump, and he was like you're loved, like stop doing this, you know.
Mm.
And then he was like, you need to get help, and he's like, or else like he's like, you need to get help. I'm gonna be there to support you, but like, he's like, I can't, be with you if you're like this all the time, because obviously he's still in too, so he's going through it mentally. And I don't know, it was just kind of like like something clicked. I was like, oh my gosh, like what am I like? I do need help, and I was able to get help, and I'm so thankful for like that. Because also there's such a big stigma around therapy, like
Hmm.
like people like, oh, you're going to therapy, you must be crazy and stuff like that. So going
No,
to
no, not at
therapy,
all.
yeah. When I first went through therapy, like my therapist, I like she called me and then I was like, hi. It was through COVID, so it was, it was all over through the phone. And then I was like, I think I have anxiety, and then she was like, no, you don't think, like just accept it. And then after that, like it was just kind of like everything started clicking.
Mm. And I'm super happy that you had that experience with a therapist. I know there's a couple of
Mhm.
different clinical, super great clinical directors, and something they preach, especially for veterans, are um, horse therapy. Horse therapy is my favorite one to hear about.
Yeah.
And then fitness is a huge one, right? Because when dopamine is forced into your brain, it's going to put you in a good mood. And when you're in a
Hmm.
good mood, you might be more susceptible or just open to talking with people around you. And that's one of the things I like
Hmm.
about this vet group that I've been working with recently. Um, but the number one thing that I've seen it have a great impact is just camaraderie. Like when we get out of the military and we go back to the normal life, we're all separate, we're all alone, we're all
Right.
separated. We spent 4
Yeah.
years creating bonds with some really good bonds with some people and some really bad bonds with some people.
Yeah.
We're gonna be honest,
Yeah.
and once that goes, we can feel alone. Separation anxiety is a big issue that a
Oh my
lot of
God.
people don't even feel. Like I was closer with a lot of people in the Navy than I was with my own family.
Same. Yeah. It's crazy because it's kind of like, and then being married to a military person, you get ripped from even your family too. So it's, I don't know, you kind of dissociate yourself, and yeah, like you said, it's kind of hard to like still be friends with my friends who are active, and then be friends to the civilians. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so like we're such in our own little unit, I guess, like us
Yes,
veterans.
absolutely. And it's I think they said that I read a statistic, a statistic today,
Hmm.
and it said less than one people serve the military, and a lot less serve in the Marines. And I have a couple of Marine buddies, and I asked them how many Marine buddies you know in the region, and he's like, I don't know any at
Yeah.
all. Like I'm all alone, and that crushed me because that if we talk about non-combatives versus
Mhm.
combatives, like occupationally, it's good to be around people who are dangerous as well. To people who
Mhm.
use violence and bring violence to those who need to be brought to, versus
Mhm.
and us who are non-combatives, right? It's important for us to have our unit, but their unit
Mhm.
needs to be similar to them. Like I can't tell you what it's like.
Yeah.
Um, I can listen to my buddy who was in the army back when Afghanistan, Iraq popped off. He can talk to me about
Mhm.
his issues seeing a group of people that were in the Taliban send a village of children to get gunned down by American
Yeah.
soldiers. He can tell me about
Mhm.
that. He can't really share that with his wife, but it's hard for me to understand and
No.
relate to that because I wasn't there,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
he's
Yeah.
all alone. Like it's just different. It's just different, and I think that if
It
we had
is.
more supportive resources, um, the
Mhm.
world would be a better place. I really love that the Wounded Warrior Project. There's a group over here in Seattle called Nine Line that has put
Yeah,
in
you were telling
together
me
a
about.
program that is,
Mhm.
yeah, they're integrating with the Army right now on joint base Lewis McCord over here in Tacoma, Washington, right just past Tacoma, and they're integrating a
Mhm.
program to help people recognize the signs of what hey, you might be home, but you're not home, mentally.
Yeah.
You might still be
Mhm.
going through some shit, and it's not bad. It's not bad to ask
It's
for help.
not bad. It's not bad, and I wish more people would realize that it's not. It's worse for you to like keep that in
Mm.
than reach out for help. But I don't know. I just wish there was a better like support for people who like got out. Like I mean, I don't know if you saw my post that I posted that, but I was just saying like I wish, how we have to go through all these classes before we get out.
Hmm. Yeah,
I
the
don't.
2 week the 2 weeks TAPS class where
Yeah, the
they
top.
teach you how to dress, they teach you how to do a resume, and they teach you how to ace the interview. Those are the
Yeah,
three things they teach you.
but they don't teach
They don't
you.
even mention, are you okay? They don't even
Yeah,
mention, do you feel like killing yourself? Like
exactly.
it. I ask my friends that all the time, and they always get caught off guard. And I don't want to disclose the information like that. There are so many of them. They say, man,
Yeah, and
I actually, I've actually been going through a kind of a tough time right now. I say, okay, come on. I leave whatever, drop whatever I'm doing. You're going through a tough time. We're going to find some resources for you because it's heartbreaking.
exactly.
Just
It
asking that
is. It's
question, the
heartbreaking.
response.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I wish they would like at least have us go through some type of therapy or like sign us up for something, because I don't know, like going back to the civilian world is just, it's so different than leaving it.
Mm. In what ways?
Like, I think just communicating with civilians is kind of a little different because we have such dark humor, and also connecting again with family, because it just feels like we're always like out. Like my first like couple months, like I always felt like I was late. Like I would just get anxious and be like, I gotta be somewhere, I gotta be somewhere. Or like making jokes with civilians. We always like talk about stupid things. And you would make a joke, I would make a joke, and they would be like, that's not funny. And I'll be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. That's horrible. I always,
Yeah, that's
I got a couple terms. Um, and obviously I had to turn it down a little bit because I was saying
yeah,
some pretty messed up shit. But we're all kind of messed up in a
yeah.
weird way, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just
Hmm.
our thing, and
Hmm.
it's hard to experience when you've I'm gonna describe a week I had. So it was like the first start of the week. We had the worst day ever, which is the midnight watch, unrep to GQ, unrep to boat ops to GQ
Oh
to watch again.
man,
You know what I'm talking about?
the 48 hours.
The 48-hour schedule, yes. And the same week I had to console a young lady who had her brother got murdered, shot in the face, and because he wasn't listed as immediate family in the DOD, she didn't get to fly home.
Oh my goodness.
So now I have a sailor standing on a catwalk trying to commit suicide, and I spent 4 hours trying to talk her down. And then guess what it was time for? Me to go to watch. I missed chow. I didn't even eat. And this is all, relatively after, like just recently after me losing my own father. So now I'm trying to process my own shit. I miss my wife to death because God damn, the Navy always sends me away. I don't know what it is. They're like, get away from her. So, that's how I know it's meant to be. But and then I had to deal with just nonsense 24/7. And there are so many different things. You try to being emotionally burnt out for a long period of time, especially in the military, can have a serious impact on you. And so there's going to be some dark humor that pops up. I might make some fucked up jokes. It is what it is.
It is. And then people are like, that's not funny. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm joking. And then it's just funny though, because like I was working at a lab recently, and I was just kind of like, I don't know. I guess people say I cuss a lot. I really don't think so. But I was just saying, like, joking around. And then she was like, were you in the Navy? And I was like, yeah, why? And she's like, me too. She's like, I knew we clicked. She's like, we have that dark humor. We like to cuss. And I was just like, yeah. And then after that, I don't know. It's just, I mean, that's kind of cool too, that we'll always have a bond with someone who was in the Navy.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
like
absolutely.
We'll always like kind of connect. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Being a civilian now is crazy.
I really don't feel that you ever do stop transitioning out of the military. I have to say it, because never. I don't think you ever do, because I don't fit in with most people. They usually love me, but I usually don't like some of the things they do. I think maybe it's because I feel like they're always moving slow, or that I always have someplace to be. And I realize after you said what you said, I feel like I've always been rushing through. Like even on Christmas, I was like tapping my hand on my knee, and my wife was like, "Honey, are you okay?" Like, I don't think I was doing so great this holiday. And so I kind of took a look at myself and say, hey, maybe I'm gonna try some new avenues, or maybe I'm gonna reach out to some of these resources that are coming on like my podcast this month, because this whole month of January, I'm filling up with veteran resources, and a couple of people that we deployed with are now in Mayport and over in Virginia as well, working with suicide prevention groups. And so I'm super excited to talk with them about some of those resources. What different things would you recommend to somebody if they are going through a tough time in the military, on how to cope with that?
Definitely, I'm trying to think of like things that I wish I would have done. Probably reach out to like your military friends. Like that's number one, because like you said, I feel like they know you better than your own family sometimes. So reaching out to them and like going out to eat or something, or just hanging out and just speaking about military life, it's just good. It's just good event and everything. And then if that doesn't work, then definitely reaching out to family so you can feel that love and support, because I feel like most of the time being in the military, we don't feel that like support.
Yeah, I definitely can feel that. I can definitely feel that. I was so super blessed and lucky to be a part of the 2015 TR deployment crew, and we were also tight knit. We just pulled the ship out of the yards. We did almost 2 years at sea, with our in and out, and then we deployed right after. So we had kind of our groove. But when you don't have your groove, it can be really difficult to find your click. And I recently, about a month and a half ago, I got a phone call from my buddy who is sadly going through a pretty tough time over there in Spain. And I got really lucky that he did reach out to me over a message. And then I just called him. I just reached out and called him. And he said, "Oh, I didn't know you were going to call me." I said, "What's going on, man?" It's like, and then immediately the tears were rolling in his eyes. I video chatted him, so he couldn't hide. He saw my face, and then he was kind of stuck with me. So
like that hug.
Yeah, man. But he was just alone. He was just alone drinking and going through the shit. The the Navy tried to just drug him up. When he said he was going through some tough times, they put him on antidepressants, and they made it so tough for him. And him being away from his family, that can be excruciating too, when the Navy just throws pills at you, or the military. I think you and I both know a mutual friend of ours that had a difficult time, and they sadly made the decision to take their own life as well. And it's not something that is. I used to ask myself, why would somebody do that? Like, don't you have friends? Don't you have a mom? Don't you have a family? And the answer is yes. But that's not always the solution. The solution is nobody has. I don't think it has all the answers.
No.
What are some of the things that you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I was gonna say, it's just sometimes, like, when you're so, like, down in that breaking point, like, in your head, suicide, like, you just think you're the problem in everything. Like, you're the problem at work, you're the problem at home, you're the problem in your relationship. And sometimes you're just like, maybe I should just take myself out so everyone else can be happy. And it's hard to get out of that headspace. So yeah.
And I definitely had I'd be a bold-faced liar if I sit here and said that I haven't had my own suicidal ideations. When I go through tough times, usually I try to bring in different things. Fitness doesn't always work all the time, but I know that if I'm living a sedentary lifestyle, it will break me. I always try, if I ever feel messed up or jacked up, I just go out for a 20-minute walk. Just go outside and walk. When you get back, normally I feel better.
Yeah, I'll either listen to music, or I'll hang out with my dogs, or journaling helps me sometimes too, because I'll just, like, write the pros and cons, and then I'll just start thinking about, like, my family, and then I'll start thinking about my husband, and then it's just like, I'm just like, okay, I'm back, like, I'm good.
It's good that I sounds like you have a great relationship with him, and I'm super happy for you.
Yes, because my past, I don't know if his name was Eddie too, but he was not it.
Yes, I deleted him off Facebook. I don't like him. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, he was mentally abusive. He made me, like, he always, like, it was already hard being in the Navy, and then having someone tell you can't be friends with guys. But it was kind of like, I work with guys, and how can I not be friends with these people? Like, they're all I have.
Yeah.
So it was just
I don't think people understand that it's not like a day job. You show up to work and you're hanging out
it's not
with these people. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah,
it's not a 9 to 5.
Yeah, you're there 24/7 in a way. Like, even you're on base, and that's all you see is military people. So yeah, it was just hard being in a relationship, like in a bad relationship with someone, and then a bad relationship in the Navy.
And I hate people who are mentally abusive. So I can't stand
Oh my gosh. Sometimes, like, I think about, like, I just can't believe, like, I wouldn't, like, let myself go through that. So then when I got a relationship with Christian, it was just kind of like, whoa, is this how I was supposed to be treated the whole time? Because this is like amazing.
Good for you. I think it's so important to find your person. I know there was a lot of people that I was deployed with who were there was DV incidents on the ship. So I think one of the I'm really hope it always breaks my heart to hear about it. And I think it should break anybody's to hear that we have the people that you expect to keep you safe from literally from war, to make sure war they're only if the military disappeared tomorrow, the US would be completely exposed, and all your feelings aren't going to protect you. It's not going to be whatever Facebook little banner shows up across your face, is not going to save you. It's the people that are putting their lives on the line, and our men and women are being abused, and it's a big issue that I see us, and it's not something that can be fixed overnight. We have to create culture that supports, confronting abusers as a group. We can't have our people feeling like they're alone in a situation, because that's what abusers thrive off of, is the feeling of isolation.
Yeah, and I think that's where I was able to get out of it, because he was so crazy. But luckily, like, Lover and, like, a couple other my friends would just kind of like, put your foot down now, or they would like, we have your back, type of thing. So it was always good to have that support with military friends.
That's good. Well, I'm super happy for you. So what is next in the future?
Thank you.
Obviously, you're going through school right now, and you look. I think you look like a fully
Yes.
fledged doctor. When is the white coat going on?
Oh my gosh, I wish. No. I haven't started nursing school yet. I just got done with my prerequisites, and I've been working at a lab here in Norfolk. It's called like Centera. It's a really well known hospital. But I start school Monday, and then I start my journey of hopefully becoming a nurse. And I'm super nervous and scared.
Oh my goodness! Don't be. Definitely don't be.
You know, everyone's like, if you can do the Navy, you can do this. I'm like,
If you can
maybe.
deal with poor leadership, you can. I'm pretty sure you can do anything in life. All you have to do is believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing about it.
Yes.
So the military is paying for your schooling, correct?
Yes. They better.
Excellent. I think I definitely hope they do. So I know that one thing I was looking into in my future is maybe going into medical industry, but I don't think that I'm not sure what's in the future for me. Right now I'm working on elevators and escalators, and I'm doing this podcasting thing, and it's going great. Not just with the financially, but also with the interaction with other human beings. It's definitely I enjoy more than it.
Yeah.
What do you think that one thing that we could do as a whole, like if I was in the military right now, if I was a lieutenant commander in charge of 250 sailors, what is one thing I could do tomorrow to mitigate the issues that we're facing in the military as far as suicide, mental health standards, everything?
I would. Oh my gosh, I think I would definitely make therapy, like have everyone like go through therapy, or like have someone come in and do some type of counseling, and let them know that like, hey, anything you say, because you know they always say anything you say is not going to be held against you, and it is, but actually mean that, mean like this is something for you to let out, and something that we can do to help you do better. And also kind of just, I think like something that helped us that we used to do like in the Navy, it's like when we had those picnics, probably do those more often, and having people like go work out and stuff, because I know it's supposed to happen, but sometimes it doesn't happen, so making all those things mandatory. But I think definitely mandatory counseling.
Yes, I think decompression is essential. You know, you don't just leave Navy SEALs deployed out there. They come back for a training rotation, and I think that's I have a friend that is a SEAL, and I'm not gonna say his name because he does pretty crazy shit in his free time. So one of the things he talks about is the how great it is to decompress and just blow off some steam because it's necessary after doing this high speed low grade kind of stuff. So I really think that should be applicable to everybody, like especially our firefighters, our police officers, our EMTs, our first responders, and the military. I think it's essential, is what I would say.
Yeah, especially like so Christian, like sometimes it's so weird seeing like not being in the Navy anymore, and seeing him kind of go through stuff, and like when he comes home, and I get to see like kind of like the things my mom would say about me. So then seeing him go through that, but sometimes he'll just have to go to the gym and decompress, and I'm like, yeah, go do it, because you need to chill out sometimes. But it's crazy that our jobs can, it's something that's was supposed to benefit us, can ruin us.
100%, 100%. And it's one of the things that I'm super thankful for is having a good support system. Not everybody has that. Not everybody's able to bounce back from tough times. Every Thursday I meet up with a group, and we have a peer-to-peer support group. So we meet with all different vets, all different groups. You know, we don't have anybody from the Coast Guard, but I'm sure one of those puddle pirates is going to show up eventually. But and when they do, I'm super excited for it. But usually I'm standing, or usually I'm sitting down talking to somebody who literally lost the ability to walk because they got blown up so many times over in Iraq. And for him to be able to find common ground with me is kind of really weird and humbling, but it's really awesome because he asked me if I'm okay. Somebody who lost the ability to walk is asking me how I'm doing. That is it's like an existential thing, and it really allows me to kind of decompress as well, because everybody goes through shit. Nobody's perfect. You know, we're all just kind of lost in the sauce.
Exactly. And then social media, like it makes it seem like everyone's perfect, and then in reality, like we're not, not like you said, not everyone's. I just wish more people would accept that life isn't so perfect.
100%, 100%. I think but I do have a lot of hope in the future with different programs.
Me too.
with what
Mhm.
they're doing for vets. My last go
Mhm.
ahead, miss.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything.
Okay, my last question. If you feel now that you obviously you're transitioning out of the military and you're still in the transitioning process, because I don't think it
Mhm.
ever stops
We never
personally.
run
That's
out.
just my opinion.
Mhm.
If you are going through a tough time, what do you do, and do you think it works? Do you find solace in certain things?
Mhm. Sometimes I just gotta cry it out because I feel like being in the Navy, we were just told to put our emotions back. So anytime I just feel like, I don't know, something going on, I just, one, cry, two, I go tell Christian, and we kind of just sometimes talk it out, or I'll either journal or vent to my parents now, and that really helps. Just like letting my mind speak, and that's something I learned in therapy, was just like you got to talk it out because it's so easy just to shut down.
Mm. Kind of sweep it under the rug and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really appreciate your insight on that, because that's something that I try to personally recommend to other people as well. Just talking out the
Mm-hmm.
problems. There's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with taking a second to figure your shit out. Like, I'm
or to
sure,
feel.
or to feel, yeah, or to feel. You don't always have to find a solution. Sometimes you just need to be in the moment and be where your feet are.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Well, I do appreciate your time, your insight, and your perspective. I know that in the future you're going to do great things in the world of healing other human beings, and if you ever get to do something like cool, like stopping the human body from bleeding out and stuff like that, you have to let me know so I can have a
I will let you
celebratory.
know.
I
I
want to
will.
celebrate. I want to celebrate for you, because my buddy just stopped his first person from bleeding out the other day, and he was so proud of himself. And I'm like, yeah, rock on. So yeah, so I
Yeah,
just want to.
I will
I,
let you know. Yeah. And I do want to say one thing. I
mm-hmm,
feel like I'm not trying to down talk the Navy, and I'm so
mm-hmm,
thankful for everything I went through. And I don't ever regret joining, just because of it made me who I am now.
mm-hmm.
And I was also able to meet my husband. So I'm thankful for it all. And I just wish that there was just like a better solution for
It's a
veterans.
leadership issue. It's not
Yes.
a Navy issue. The Navy
Hmm.
is made of the people.
Hmm.
And that's something I can totally get on board with and agree with you. Like, you'll never hear
Hmm.
me saying fuck the Navy.
Yeah.
It's not the Navy that tried to keep me on the wrong ship. It's this asshole, this old asshole who's set in his
Yeah.
ways. So it is what it is, right? And if it wasn't
Yeah.
for the Navy, I wouldn't have met so many great people. Like, you're when I
Exactly.
think about the Navy, I think about like probably about 30 people, and you're definitely one of them, because I don't know,
Oh,
just
thank you. I know.
this idea of positivity. This idea of positivity can
Yeah.
still be a real thing.
Yeah. And I thank you for always being like a great leadership for us and a voice for all of us when we didn't have a voice.
It was not just my obligation, it was a pleasure. You know what? One thing I learned in my
Hmm.
life is it doesn't matter what people say. It doesn't matter what people do. It matters what you tell them
You
they
just gotta
cannot
speak up.
do.
Yeah.
You gotta speak up. You gotta fuck them up sometimes. It is what it is. Like, it's not my first time like going head to toe with like multiple people. Like, I'm not scared of these people. They should be fearful
Hmm.
of what the actions they brought on themselves. So that's how I
Exactly.
feel about it. Well, I definitely appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming on, and I look forward to doing this again in the future. After you put on that white
Yeah.
jacket, you're gonna be famous. You're gonna be rich as hell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And
Absolutely.
I wish you luck on everything. You know it. That's the goal.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.